Well, this is going to be an interesting video. Hey guys, Katie here. This is going to be the last video I film in this pink room, the last video I film, like last sit-down video that I am making in this house that I've been in for 18 years. So if you haven't been watching my vlogs, basically my family home that we've been in since 2002, we are selling it. It actually already sold, and we're moving into kind of like a condo sort of space later on this week on New Year's Eve. So this is my second to last night in this house, and this is, like I said, the last time I'm probably gonna film a video in my room. Lots of mixed emotions happening. I'm not really gonna go into that, but overall I'm just so thankful for all the years I did get to spend here, and it kind of ties into the, you know, the theme of this video, which is my 2020 recap. I've done a yearly recap video at the end of each year for the past 6 to 7 years, and it has been a very special thing for me on my channel because it's allowed me to share what happened in my life throughout the years, share the lessons I've learned, but also just personally for myself. I've been able to go back and watch each video I've made, you know, from 2014 through now, and just kind of, you know, look at my past self and see how far I've come. So yeah, with that said, I'm basically just going to go over the things that happened month by month in my life this year, kind of like, you know, like a whole summary. And then this has been the hardest year of my life. Aside from 2016, that was probably the first really bad year in my life, this is definitely the worst I've had since then. I think that's the case for a lot of us. 2020 is gonna go down in history as a bad year. We're gonna remember it for a lot of the bad things that happened, which is why I do have some positive things to share, you know, that happened in my life this year that I can hopefully remember and try to look on the bright side when it comes to thinking about 2020 and everything this year has been. So let's get into the summary part of it, and then I want to dive into like the lessons I learned at the very end. And hopefully it won't be that long of a video, but usually these are kind of long, so we'll have to see. Let's start with January 2020. Side note, if you hear anything in the background, it's because my family is lifting heavy things here and there and going up and down the stairs, so I'm gonna try to get this video done before it gets any more loud here at my house. But yeah, January, guys. January, I think we were all very hopeful for the year ahead of us. No one knew what was coming, obviously. So in January, I got bangs. So I've had these bangs all year. I love them. They're gonna stay for a while, I think. In January, I was also still obsessed with the idea of getting a gecko or a snake of some sort, or just a new pet. I don't know why. I think because it was the new year, I was like, I need a new pet in my life, and I had been obsessed with reptiles all throughout last year. So I, of course, being the weird person I am, didn't get a reptile. I got mice, which is what you feed snakes. So yeah, in February I got 3 female mice, and I still have them. Their names are Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles, and they're really cute, and they're living their life. They are about to be 1 year old. They probably already are about a year old, but yeah, it's got some mice at the beginning of the year. But in the same month of February, on Valentine's Day to be specific, my boyfriend Levi got his dog Kenna, and she's been such a highlight, like, and a happy moment of this year. We love her so much. She's very special. I put her in the vlogs all the time. She's a burn victim. She was in a fire at like a backyard breeder sort of situation. It took her a whole year to heal, and so she doesn't have a lot of hair on the back of her like body, but she is adorable and we love her so much. So Kenna came into our lives on Valentine's Day. I think towards the end of February is when I got to go to Kansas City for one of the last times. I didn't know it at the time, but it would be one of the last times I got to go visit my friends and actually go out to like a club and things before the pandemic hit. This was before we really knew it was coming to, you know, the US. I knew of it at this time. But yeah, this was late February, maybe mid-February. Around that same time, my boyfriend got a new roommate. His name is Brandon, and Brandon lived with us in the very beginning of, and I say lived with us because I kind of spent a lot of time at Levi's apartment this year, but Brandon moved in and I made a new friend. I definitely consider him a close friend, and I'm so thankful that I got to know him. He lived with us throughout the beginning of quarantine and like through the summer. He is awesome. Now he's in law school. So Brandon, if you're watching this, just know you were one of the highlights of my year. Okay. Now the month you've all been waiting for. I think this is the month that really, you know, a lot of people are gonna ask themselves, okay, where were you when the world stopped turning, essentially? Which is, for us, it was March here in the US. That's when things really started to get serious, and the coronavirus hit, I guess you could say. I'm sure it was here way before that. We just didn't really know it. But yeah, March, like mid-March is when the lockdown sort of started, or was about to start here, and I ended up spending one night with a group of my friends, and that was like the last night I would see any of them for a long time. The lockdown started in mid-March, and at that time, which I can kind of go back a little bit, my grandma started to get sick in December, late December, January, and she was put on in-home hospice care, which means we knew she was going to pass away. She was given a certain amount of time and she got to stay home and be taken care of, but at the exact time that the lockdown happened, my mom essentially got quarantined with my grandparents. They live close by, but my mom decided to just start living with them so she could help my grandpa take care of my grandma. So yeah, it was basically just me, my sister, and my father. My brother was away at college still this past spring, and so just the three of us hanging out here. I'm so thankful, guys. I already had a work from home, like remote position job, so I've already been so used to the lifestyle that there really wasn't a lot of adjusting when it came to that part of my life. What did take some getting used to was not going to see my friends, not going out to dinner, those kinds of things. So yeah, late March into early April, a lot of days were spent going on walks with my, my dad and my sister, or just basically trying to enjoy the weather because it started to get a little bit better at that time. We would go over to visit a little bit sometimes my grandparents' house, but we stayed very far away from them, and it was so sad because those were the last few months, like even weeks, that I knew I had with my grandma, and we couldn't really touch her or be that close to her, and that was actually heartbreaking. So April, my birthday month, came along, and I think my boyfriend knew that I wasn't gonna get to celebrate and have like a normal birthday, so this was like the highlight of April for me, was when Levi decided to respond to one of David Dobrik's tweets, and he was giving away money, and Levi tweeted at him, and he must have done it at the right time because David Dobrik actually ended up Venmoing me like $100 for my birthday. It was really special, very like random, and David Dobrik is one of my favorite YouTubers, so that was just such an amazing present that I'll always be thankful to Levi for. We celebrated Easter, very different than any other year. We ended up just kind of having like an outdoor sort of food situation at my grandparents' house. We ate in their garage and we all wore masks, and it was literally just like my immediate family. And I'm glad we got to spend Easter together. That same day, I wouldn't find out until the next day, but April 19th, I believe, my friend from high school, who I used to be really close to, and I hadn't really talked to her or seen her in a few years, her name was Ellen. She passed away in a car accident. I think the next morning after Ellen passed away, I obviously didn't know she did. She lives in Maine, so I found out from my friend Casey, who let me know. She FaceTimed me, and it was heartbreaking. Casey was very close with Ellen. They had matching tattoos. So seeing my friend be so upset, and knowing that it was over someone I was really close with also, it was just very shocking, very surreal. It was not a fun day. But the weirdest thing about losing Ellen was to grieve someone who I didn't really know if I ever would see again, and to not really know the best way to grieve. I go through waves of just being upset about her dying because it's just so sad. The fact that she was just such a bright soul, someone who was so nice, someone who definitely we needed, during this year. She was actually she was in the medical field, and yeah. That was really rough. So that was April 19th, around that time. Overall, that was probably one of the hardest parts of this year. And the next hard part came in May. In May, I spent a lot of time with my family, which, when you hear someone say that they spent a lot of time with their family during the pandemic, usually you hope that that's people within their bubble, and for me it was. But my grandma was dying. Like, she was actively going to die soon. So we just ended up basically spending a lot of time there with her, not close to her or anything like that, and trying to keep my grandpa safe as well. But I think May is when things started to really get real. She did pass away on May 20th. I don't think I really expected it to be that day. Like, I thought she would hang on a little bit longer, but she passed away on May 20th, and I couldn't be there with her when she passed away, but I did get to see her like the day or two before that. It was sad, but in some ways we were happy because she was out of pain. And the worst part about this is that although she did not want a funeral, which is kind of convenient because we wouldn't have really been able to have one, I feel like in a lot of ways we didn't really get closure, or I didn't really get closure. We were gonna have some form of ceremonial, like burial service, probably next year, but yeah, we didn't really get a chance to say goodbye and like kind of like all be together. because of the pandemic. If you guys relate to that in any way, let me know. If you lost a loved one this year, I'm so sorry. I think the worst part about losing a loved one in this year is definitely the people who did not get to have like a funeral or essentially like a celebration of life for that person. Yeah, I'm hoping we'll be able to all get together next year when it's safer to come together and mourn my grandma and just kind of celebrate her life in some way. So yeah, May sucked, but all in all, I was actually happy at that time because it was about to be summer, and I love summer, and I was ready for the warmer weather. So TikTok obviously gained a lot of traction this past year, and I finally started to make TikToks earlier, especially at the very beginning of quarantine. But what happened in June was that I ended up making a TikTok of this dollhouse my grandpa had built for my grandma, who had just passed away a month before that. I uploaded this little house tour of this dollhouse, and the TikTok gained over 1.2 million views, and I was able to share that with my grandpa. He thought it was so special and cool that over like 200,000 people liked this video, like hearted it. And the fact that that many people even saw it is just amazing, especially 1 month after my grandma passed away. So I attribute a lot of the happiness I felt this year to TikTok, which usually you wouldn't want to stray away from like really allowing an app to bring you that much happiness, but I don't know, can you guys relate? Do you like TikTok? Initially I hated it, and then I started to realize it is an amazing platform. I'm so happy we still have access to it in America, and if you use it the right way, it could really be an awesome social media platform to be on. In July, I dyed my hair pink temporarily, and that was so fun. I actually had that through 4th of July, and I really liked it. I want to do that again next summer with like a different temporary hair color. But we spent 4th of July at my grandparents' lake house, which was kind of far away from a lot of people, so I felt safe there. And then comes August. I believe my sister's rabbit Lulu passed away in August, which was just another horrible thing to have happened this year. She either passed away in July or August, but yeah, that was really sudden, and Lulu was so cute, so it was really sad when she passed away. But on the bright side, August was the month I started my podcast. Yeah, I don't know how I got the idea, but I just decided that I was going to start a podcast this year. I think it actually stemmed from TikTok, to be honest. I saw how amazing Generation Z was, and I also knew that I was technically a millennial, so then I discovered something called a zillennial, which is what I definitely think I am. I could fall into the category of what a zillennial is. It's someone who's like in between, you know, Generation Z and millennials. And so I started my podcast called My Zillennial Life. I really started it not for the purpose of it getting a ton of listeners, but just because I wanted a way to express myself that was different than YouTube and other social media things I do on the side. So yeah, I started a podcast. If you haven't listened to it, you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts. It should be on Spotify as well. And that has been definitely one of the best things that I did this year, or that happened in my life. Like I said, I don't have a ton of listeners, but it's been such a blessing to be able to just sit down every week and create a short 30-minute episode that I can upload. And it's essentially about my life as a zillennial, but also like throwback to the 90s sort of thing. So if like you were a 90s kid, you might sort of understand some of the topics I talk about in it. Let me know below if you've listened to it, because I love hearing from people who have listened to it before. So yeah, started my podcast in August. In September, my friend Stephanie got engaged, and I got to film the proposal. That was very special. It happened at like a park, and I was able to get it on camera, make a little video for her and her fiance, Dave, and that was just definitely so awesome. I also dyed my hair pink again around that time. Also in September, I decided to take a whole week off of work because I had not taken barely any days off earlier in this year. So I took 5 days off, and I got to spend a week with Levi, and we just kind of relaxed and just had a nice week off. I also got a betta fish during that week. His name is Bomb Pop. He's lovely. In October, we started to realize that I think it was time to sell our house. My parents were, you know, on the right kind of track to putting our house on the market. I don't really think it clicked with me in my head yet that that was going to happen soon, but we went to go tour other houses, and I got to go with them. And yeah, so that's when I think it settled in with me that this was happening soon. We went to a drive-in comedy show in October for Nate Bargatze, which was super fun. And then the most 2020 memory of 2020, on October 31st, on Halloween, I had to take Levi and his friend to urgent care and we all got tested for COVID. So that was the first time this entire year I had to ever get tested, and unfortunately Levi and his friend both were positive and I was negative, but that meant that I had to spend 14 days quarantined with them. And yeah, the timing was so crazy because it was literally just a few days before election day. And yeah, we all stayed safe within his apartment. We didn't leave at all for 2 weeks. And thankfully, even though Levi did get tested, even though Levi did have COVID, his symptoms were not super bad, and he hasn't had any prolonged long-term symptoms, and neither have any of his other roommates who also tested positive. And I will say I never tested positive for it, but I likely did have exposure to it. So yeah, the beginning of November was spent quarantined with my boyfriend and his 3 friends or roommates. So 4 guys and me, all in an apartment. I felt like Jess from New Girl, except for not as glamorous. But honestly, it was kind of fun some days. We just played lots of Yahtzee and I still had to work every day. So aside from feeling a tiny bit sick, it really wasn't that much different than my life had been in the weeks before, since we really weren't doing anything anyways or going anywhere anyways. But we were lucky. We were so lucky to not have bad symptoms. So if you're out there and you've lost a loved one this year to COVID, just know my heart is with you, and we easily could get reinfected. So we're still taking it seriously. Just because we got COVID doesn't mean that we're immune to it. The election happened. Obviously, if you're in America, you know that the results of the election, we found out like a couple days after November 4th, and I was waiting for those results, and I will say that I'm very happy with the results of the election. I'm very happy that Trump is no longer going to be president, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So we sold our house around the end of November and also purchased the house that we're going to move into around that same time. And so this entire past month has been spent packing up our home, getting ready to move, and also preparing for Christmas. Christmas was lovely, and I'm thankful that we got to spend one last Christmas in this house. And that pretty much wraps up my year, essentially. But all in all, what I'm most thankful for is that as of right now, my family, we're all healthy, we're okay. We're, you know, leaving this home, which I'm sad about, and my mom and the rest of my family, I think we're pretty sad about it. But it's something that I'm thankful we're doing now and not waiting super long to do, you know, like when my parents are older and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna miss this home, but now I'm gonna cover basically some of the things that 2020 taught me. I feel like every time I go over the lessons that this year taught me, or any year taught me, it always sounds super cliche, but this year especially has taught me some very cliche lessons, and I'm really happy about that. I don't think anyone could have guessed what was going to happen this year. If you would have told me 1 year ago right now that 2020 was going to be just a complete utter shit show, I would have been like, oh shoot, that sucks. But then there was part of me last year, maybe I'm a pessimist, or maybe I just had like this weird gut feeling. There was part of me last year that knew that 2020 was gonna be different in some way. I just didn't know. I had a gut feeling that there was probably gonna be some loss that I would experience in my life or in some general way, and that's exactly what happened. Because you can't go through life without experiencing pain, or else you'll never learn anything. So I'm thankful that I did get to experience things this year that made me sad, which is not something, you know, you hear someone say all the time, but it made me, you know, thankful for the days that were good. When I had bad days that sucked, it made me look at the days that didn't suck and be super happy that I had those days. Does that make sense? In general, this year made me so thankful for life, for every single day. It made me realize that we shouldn't take any time with our loved ones or people in our lives for granted. It made me put down my phone as often as I could, really live in each moment. And it just made me cherish the, you know, times I do have here with the people that I love. Because I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with the people that I love. So now, going into next year, once the vaccine is here and we all get it, I'm so hoping that when we all could be together again, it will feel amazing, and I know it will. I don't know if anyone else did a ton of online shopping in 2020, but I certainly did, especially at the beginning of quarantine. I was literally buying things online because I was sad. And that was the first time I've ever really had a habit like that, because I just don't think I've ever experienced such like constant day-to-day, the same thing every day. And so I would just basically give myself something to look forward to. And that was online shopping. I would buy things, I would know that I was going to be expecting a package, and it would make me very happy, and it would give me something to look forward to, which was really nice. But I will say, this is the lesson I learned, that buying things online and buying things will bring you a little burst of serotonin, and it will definitely make you happy for a short amount of time, but it's not going to fix any deep-rooted sadness you had. It's just a temporary fix. I don't regret shopping online. I will say one thing that I learned was to support small businesses, especially this past year. So I tried to buy from small businesses as much as I could, and you know, learn about other small businesses I had not known about before. It's important to know where your money's going and how it's being spent. And I spent a lot of it this year, which I could say I'm very privileged to even be able to say, because there are so many people who lost their homes and their jobs, and for me to even be able to say I was able to order just one thing on Amazon during 2020 is probably puts me at a way higher privilege than a lot of other people. So I am thankful for that. I am thankful that I kept my job. I am thankful that I have a roof over my head. I am thankful that my parents are still, you know, they were still able to work, and my boyfriend. And I just want you all to know that me saying that one of the things I learned this year was that buying more things online is not going to bring you more happiness doesn't mean that I am not thankful for the fact that I was able to even buy things in general. I do want to say though, I'm praying for anyone out there who lost their home, who was evicted from their apartment, who got fired from their job, let go. I'm just very thankful that I was able to keep my job this year, where I know so many other people were not able to do so. This next lesson is very similar to one that I spoke about last year, but it's the little things in life. Like, I really gained an appreciation for just the little things, because once the, you know, weekly dinner dates with friends and the trips to Kansas City on the weekends, all of that got taken away. Once that got taken away, I really gained an appreciation for the small day-to-day things that made me happy, like my evening bubble baths, a glass of wine, a really nice home-cooked meal, watching a movie with Levi, or even the very rare trips to the store. Those, you know, those were the highlights of my weeks. And yeah, I'm thankful this year was once again another lesson to appreciate the little things in life and not always necessarily have to have big plans in order to be happy. This year was one of the quickest, fastest moving years of my entire life, but also somehow at the same time one of the slowest years. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I am happy that it's coming to an end. I will say that. I think a lot of us are really happy to see that it's coming to an end. And although 2021 is probably not going to necessarily mean that COVID is over and all of our other hardships are going to immediately end, I know that the future does look brighter than this year, and I'm looking forward to 2021. I'm so thankful for all of you. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for coming along in this journey with me in this house. I started my YouTube channel in this house back in 2009, so over 10 years ago, and it's coming to an end, but pretty soon I'll be moving into the new house, and I will be able to redecorate my room there and have a new setup for filming. So I look forward to that, and I look forward to 2021. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you next year. Bye.